Western fans often approach K-pop with a certain level of entitlement, assuming that their values and perspectives should naturally apply across the board. But the reality is, South Korea operates under a completely different set of cultural norms, rules, and societal expectations. The irony is glaring. Many Westerners are shocked to discover that other countries, like Korea, don't share the same views on diversity, political correctness, or social issues. It's as if they've never considered that a homogeneous country might exist, or that conservatism could be the norm elsewhere. This cultural disconnect becomes even more apparent when Western fans start demanding that K-pop idols conform to their expectations, forgetting that these idols come from a society with its own values and norms that are often vastly different from those in the West. Take, for example, the typical Western outrage when an idol doesn't adhere to progressive Western values. Fans are quick to criticize and demand apologies, assuming that what's unacceptable in their culture should be universally condemned. But in South Korea, the societal structure, influenced by Confucian values, prioritizes respect, hierarchy, and tradition in ways that Western societies often don't. The disconnect is clear when Western fans expect K-pop idols to take public stances on issues that might be completely irrelevant in Korean society, or, worse, could have negative repercussions for those idols in their home country. For example, topics like racial diversity or LGBTQ+ rights are viewed differently in a country with a different history and societal structure. What Western fans may see as a simple issue of right and wrong is often far more complex when viewed through a Korean lens. What's hilarious and a bit sad is watching Western fans try to impose their worldview on K-pop idols without understanding the cultural context. They demand that idols speak out on issues that might be completely irrelevant in Korean society, or worse, could have negative repercussions for those idols in their home country. There's a kind of cultural imperialism at play here, where Western fans assume their perspective is the default, superior way of thinking. This is especially ironic, considering how quick these same fans are to praise their favorite idols for embodying traditional Korean values, like hard work, discipline, and respect for elders. Values that are often tied to the conservative mindset they otherwise criticize. It's almost as if they want to have their cake and eat it too, enjoying the unique aspects of Korean culture while simultaneously trying to reshape it to fit their own ideals. Another layer of irony is how these fans react when they realize that South Korea is a homogeneous country with conservative leanings. It's almost like they're shocked that a country could operate under a different set of values than the multicultural, liberal ideals they're used to. In the West, anything conservative or not diverse is often labeled as backward or evil. But when it comes to their favorite K-pop idols, those same fans bend over backward to excuse or rationalize the very values they'd criticize in their own countries. It's a classic case of cognitive dissonance, holding two conflicting beliefs at the same time because it's convenient. They'll condemn conservatism in their own backyard, but suddenly find it acceptable when it's tied to the culture of their favorite idols. The double standard is as clear as day, yet it often goes unnoticed in the frenzy of fandom. We've seen this play out time and time again. An idol makes a comment or takes an action that's perfectly normal in Korean society, but controversial in the West. And suddenly, there's an uproar. Fans demand apologies, issue lengthy think pieces on social media, and even organize boycotts. But what they fail to realize is that their expectations are rooted in a Western-centric view of the world. They assume that because they've decided something is wrong, it must be wrong everywhere. This kind of thinking doesn't just highlight a lack of cultural understanding, it also reveals a deeper issue of arrogance and entitlement. There's an implicit assumption that Western values are superior and should be adopted by everyone, regardless of their cultural background or societal norms. The reality is that Korea, like many other countries, doesn't share the same historical and cultural background that shaped Western values. Concepts like individualism, freedom of expression, and political correctness are interpreted differently in a country where the collective good often takes precedence over individual desires. This doesn't mean that one culture is better than the other, but it does mean that expecting Korean idols to conform to Western ideals is not only unrealistic, but also disrespectful. The Western fans who push these expectations fail to see that they're asking these idols to navigate a cultural minefield, where the consequences of speaking out can be far more severe than they might imagine. There's also a strange hypocrisy at play. Western fans will demand that idols conform to their progressive values while simultaneously enjoying the very aspects of Korean culture that are rooted in conservatism. They love the respect for elders, the discipline, the modesty, and the hard work that K-pop idols represent, until those same values clash with their own beliefs. It's as if they want to cherry-pick the parts of Korean culture that align with their worldview while discarding the rest. This selective appreciation of culture is not only hypocritical, but also incredibly short-sighted. It overlooks the fact that the very things they admire about K-pop are deeply intertwined with the cultural values they're so quick to criticize. This mindset is particularly evident when it comes to issues of race and representation. In a homogeneous society like Korea's, the conversation around race is fundamentally different. Yet, Western fans often project their own experiences and struggles onto Korean idols, expecting them to take stances on issues that don't have the same resonance in their culture. The demand for idols to speak out on global issues often overlooks the fact that these idols are navigating a very different social landscape, one where such activism could have serious consequences. In some cases, these demands are not just out of touch, they're dangerous. They place idols in positions where they could face backlash at home for supporting causes that are far removed from the Korean context. The truth is, if Western fans truly want to support K-pop and its idols, they need to respect the cultural differences that come with it. K-pop isn't just a genre of music, it's a product of a specific culture with its own values and traditions. Trying to force Western ideals onto it not only dilutes its authenticity, but also shows a lack of understanding and respect for the very thing that makes K-pop unique. The global success of K-pop should be celebrated, but that doesn't mean it needs to be reshaped to fit a Western mold. If anything, its global appeal lies in its difference, in the way it offers something fresh and distinct from what's already out there. So next time you see a Western fan getting outraged because their favorite idol didn't act according to their expectations, remember this: K-pop is Korean. It's shaped by Korean society, values, and traditions. And while it's great that K-pop is reaching global audiences, it's important to remember that not every culture operates by the same rules. The beauty of K-pop lies in its ability to offer something different, something rooted in a culture that's not your own. Embrace that difference, and you'll find that there's so much more to appreciate than just the music. By trying to impose Western values on K-pop, you risk stripping away the very essence of what makes it special. Western fans need to recognize that their worldview isn't universal. Just because something is important or controversial in the West doesn't mean it holds the same weight in Korea. The sooner fans understand this, the better equipped they'll be to truly appreciate K-pop for what it is: a reflection of Korean culture, not an extension of Western norms. It's time to stop viewing K-pop through a Western lens and start appreciating it on its own terms. Only then can fans truly support the idols they claim to love without imposing their own cultural expectations on them. K-pop's journey on the global stage is still unfolding, and with it comes both opportunities and challenges. The genre will continue to evolve, influenced by the cultures it touches, but it's crucial that this evolution respects its roots. For K-pop to thrive, it needs to remain true to itself, to the culture that gave birth to it. Fans around the world should celebrate that, not try to change it. As K-pop grows, so too should our understanding of the cultural nuances that shape it. It's time for Western fans to step back, listen, and learn. Only then can they truly appreciate the richness and depth of K-pop without trying to make it something it's not. As we've explored, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to how Western fans interact with K-pop and its idols. But what do you think? Do you believe Western fans are trying to impose their values on K-pop? Or is this just a natural part of cultural exchange as K-pop goes global? How do you feel about the balance between respecting cultural differences and advocating for universal values? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to see what you all have to say. And if you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of K-pop.